Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary, Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. Now, for those of you that are joining us, you might find it quite peculiar. Wow, John really didn't put his back into that he normally does, kind of a signature intro. Why is that? Is he under the weather? No, my good friends, I am not. It's because my voice was entirely expended on live reacting to an incredible hour of Lucha Underground that we are now going to be talking about here, Aztec Warfare 3, and it did not disappoint. From the opening vignette, which we'll talk about, and we'll talk about it again at the end of the show, I'm sure. And then the match itself, Aztec Warfare, really as a general concept, always brings it. Always brings the hype, always brings the atmosphere. And tonight was no exception. I fucking loved it. Lucha Underground, let me tell you something. And I just got done tweeting it before we went live. If you didn't believe it before, I would like to think that tonight, with the performances of everybody, whether they were jobbers, mid-carders looking to stake their claim, or the main event scene, put their fucking back into this match and just continue to show why Lucha Underground is being put on the map. This is one of the hardest working locker rooms in wrestling today, and this was just a fantastic outing of television. Don't take my word for it. I'm dying to know, my cohort and commentary here. Now that you've had time to calm down just a little bit, what did you think of Aztec Warfare 3?
Aztec Warfare never ceases to amaze me. Every time it raises my expectations, and then even despite having raised expectations from the previous one, exceeds them.
Exactly. And that really is what Lucha Underground's all about. It sets expectations, but yet consistently exceeds them as time progresses. I thought this was a phenomenal match, and this was one of those episodes, guys, for the record, one episode, one match, and that's really how it went down. But the thing is, you could further a lot of stories in one match, as Aztec Warfare has been known to do historically, and tonight was no different. So with that said, I'm done with all the preliminary chatter. Partners, anything else, any other preliminary remarks you want to make before we really dig into this episode of Lucha Underground?
I thought that, as you said, everyone worked very hard, but what I really wanted to point out, I don't think I've ever seen a company that pulls off a battle royal as consistently well as Lucha Underground. Ever.
Yes.
It amazes me. And I think that the reasoning behind that is because in this universe, every sort of story is kind of feels a little bit separate from all the other stories. Like when you think of the whole, Jeremiah, Evilise, Mariposa, Marty the Moth story, you don't really think about them in the same universe as Matanza. But when you watch something like Aztec Warfare, you realize that they very much are in the same universe. And when those different stories collide, it makes fireworks.
That is an excellent point. Excellent point, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. That's what I love about battle royals. That's what I love about concepts like even Survivor Series this Sunday, which we'll be giving a lot of coverage to, is that people that normally wouldn't interact in kind of a linear plane when they've got their own storylines going on get a chance to interact, and we're certainly treated to that tonight. So do you want to just get right into this review?
I mean, I guess so. We started this whole thing with an awesome tribal introduction with a bunch of ancient Aztec warriors decked out in gear that looked awesome. In place of the band was 4 sort of Aztec-looking drum players, and they were playing their stuff, and we had that kind of music going on. And then obviously we already had Matanza in the ring because we knew he was starting the match at number 1. And then Melissa did the intro after Dario whispered in her ear to let her know that number 2 wasn't whoever it was originally going to be, which I'm assuming was whoever came out at 12, which was Sexy Star, as a matter of fact, that it was Johnny Mundo.
Yes, because...
Oh my God, dude, we didn't even make that connection during live reactions. But Sexy Star came out at 12. That would have been Mundo, and Sexy Star won instead of Mundo. Oh my God!
Yeah, believe me, I have a lot to say about that, but we'll get to it slow and steady. I promise you. I just gotta slowly pull the knife out. So
Dude, but
Johnny,
seriously, that level of storytelling is unprecedented in wrestling.
it is. It is. I love the history they are establishing between these two without them constantly being in each other's faces all the time. Because
Oh
that's what
my
Raw.
God, we got the Black Lotus triad tonight. Everything happened.
Everything did happen, but yeah, I mean, Matanza and Mundo start out, and that only happened because in the opening vignette, which I mean was circulated throughout YouTube, Mundo talks trash to Cueto, and he's saying like I'm taking your brother to Slamtown, and even if by some miracle I don't win, and believe me, I guess miracles do happen, which we'll get to, he's cashing in next week. We're going to tie that all back, I'm sure, at the end of the review. But yeah, match starts at a nice pace. It's Matanza, it's Mundo trying to keep distance. Then Son of Havoc comes in and the pace starts to quicken. And it really doesn't take long until everything just plunges into chaos, dude. And that's where Aztec Warfare thrives. When just everybody's going after everybody. I mean, like you said, to just kind of jump around if you're comfortable with that format. The Black Lotus Triad debut. And what a debut they had. Holy shit. Right out of the gate. They already look like a tour de force taking out Pentagon. And one thing that did make me smile tonight, Mundo pinned Pentagon. He's pinned Pentagon so many times this year. Triple Mania, the AAA World Cup, and now Lucha Underground. Johnny Mundo has Pentagon Dark's number. Fucking tweet it. So, yeah, Black Lotus Triad debut. I mean, brother, you and I have been waiting for this for a long time, so I'll hand the reins over to you. What did you think about this debut?
Oh, dude. The suddenness with which they showed up, like you see Black Lotus in the corner of the ring, and the next thing you know, you see another one on the top rope, and the next thing you see, there's a second member of the triad that you don't recognize showing up in the corner, and then the camera pans out, and it's like, oh my God, they're all there, all four corners of the ring have sexy black Asian women decked in leather in them, and then they just destroyed Pentagon, and Pentagon got pinned by Johnny Mundo because of it.
Yeah. I mean, what a debut. And you had the perfect word, the suddenness, which, hey, if this is like a league of assassins or gangsters or whatever you want to call them, that's a quality you need to have. And I really like that. Already, the presentation was fucking ace. I can't wait for more from these guys. And I love now that Pentagon Dark, because the funny thing about this match, Ashton, everybody involved, you don't know where they go from here. Because the thing is, and what everybody should always keep at the forefront of their minds, and I'm talking to myself just as much as all of you, Lucha Underground is not your standard promotion. Just because a champion loses the championship doesn't mean they're going to stay in the title picture in Lucha Underground, at least to my mind. Anybody can do anything at any time. So to know that Pentagon Dark now is going to pick back up his business with Black Lotus, very exciting to me. Incredibly exciting. Other big moments here. Joey Ryan, again, trying to be smart with the cuffs. Didn't pay off last time in Aztec Warfare 2 because he came face-to-face with Matanza. This year, came face-to-face with Mil Muertes. Or this time around, I should say, not this year. Aztec Warfare 3 comes face-to-face with Mil Muertes. So that was a great comedy bit. Matanza. Let me just say this, because I know there's going to be a lot of talk about Matanza, some possibly controversial, depending on your opinion of how everything went down. That man, I know we call him the monster Matanza Cueto, or at least that's how it is in formal introductions. No, it really needs to be known. That man is a fucking freak, possibly the most athletic specimen in the game today. And I know guys like Cesaro and stuff are made of some very special stuff, but Matanza, dude, the way he eliminated Drago with that flipping moonsault slam, holy fucking shit. And like you pointed out in live reactions, I would even say it's superior to Trevor Lee's, because Trevor Lee's has his opponent's momentum going for them. Matanza just fucking did it. Like, that is raw, animalistic athleticism. What a fucking freak Matanza is, dude. Do you have anything to say about Matanza's performance tonight?
Dude, Matanza, I absolutely love when you get a big, dominant, intimidating, scary monster, and halfway through the match, he's still no-selling offense. That was amazing.
Yes. Dude, Lucha Underground, and they need to pat themselves on the back for that. And I'm being dead serious, because I feel like they've done the virtually impossible. Because in my opinion, now there are exceptions on the WWE side too, so I don't want to completely blackball WWE and say they haven't done it. But I think in this day and age, especially when everybody's so in the know, it's really hard to create like a legitimate heel to me, because there's going to be some quality about them, whether in the ring or out, that people are just going to gravitate to. But Matanza is so loathed. You know, people wanted to see him get beat. And the great thing is, he wasn't just loathed, he was credible. He is a legitimate force. Hell, even after this match, he's still a legitimate force. I don't want to fuck with Matanza anymore after this match than I did before this match. If anything, I want to fuck with him even less now, and we'll get to that. You know, the writing of him is just brilliant. The presentation of him is spot on. This is a legitimate heel character, and it's a monster to boot. It works on every conceivable level to me. I'm sorry. I just think it's one of the best gimmicks of 2016, of this wrestling year. It's just amazing to me. And his performance, my God, I just have to give a shout out very quickly to Jeff Cobb, because he's a beast in PWG without the mask, but when he becomes Matanza, man, it's just like Ricochet when he becomes Prince Puma. Totally different air about him. Totally different air about him, and it shows in his work. Stellar performance again tonight. But what I want to do is, I don't want to prattle on too much. Are there any standout moments that you want to talk about personally that you were really excited to get into in a formal review?
Don't ask me to cherry pick. We've got to go through this thing chronologically.
Okay, so where do you want, when you say chronologically, should we just go back to the beginning of the match, Matanza and Mundo? How do you want to do this?
Matanza, and then Mundo, and then Son of Havoc, and then Jeremiah, and then Pentagon, and just the first elimination was Matanza beating Jeremiah. But before that even happened, we had Mariposa coming out and almost trying to seduce Matanza.
Yes, that interaction was very interesting, but Matanza didn't let it last. He put Mariposa down. And real quick, just to backtrack slightly, even though he was the first elimination, very impressed with Jeremiah tonight. And you even said, you had a great soundbite on Live Reactions when you said Lucha Underground did in 1 month what NXT couldn't do with an entire run, and that's get me invested in Sami Callihan. And I do agree with you. I think the Jeremiah character is very interesting. If anything, and I don't mean any offense by this, I mean, you guys know when I'm being Johnny Scumbag and when I'm not. If there's any silver lining to Ivelisse, you know, being injured at these tapings, which she sounds well now on Twitter, and I know she'll come back better than ever, it's that Jeremiah gets to play in an open sandbox for a little bit, you know, not kind of tethered to her and whatever she's doing. And with a character like that, whose big thing is, oh, I've always wanted to fight for money. I've always wanted to fight for money. And I didn't drop out of high school, you know, for this. Now he gets to play in this really perverse, dark, sinister, open world. And that's very exciting for a guy as good at promos and everything as Sami Callihan is. I think Lucha, let me put it to you this way. A performer like Sami Callihan, because you and I have had enough exposure to him in so many different venues to know what he's about. I feel like a promotion like Lucha Underground was made for him. Like, if he doesn't thrive here, he should just leave his boots in the middle of the ring, because I don't know where you could thrive with a character like you bring to the table if you're Jeremiah, except for Lucha Underground. So I think he's going to do so well there. He had a nice showing, but Matanza did eliminate him. Matanza also eliminated Mariposa after, like you said, very unique, very fascinating interaction that was very brief. But see, that's the thing too. And you know, again, I don't want to make it seem like a WWE bashing hour, because I don't mean it to be that. We're probably actually going to praise WWE a lot before the end of this week with TakeOver and Survivor Series on the horizon. But my thing is, Lucha Underground knows how to capture lightning in a bottle, or to create a moment and not immediately abuse it after creating it. Like, the Mariposa Matanza stare down was so quick, but I was immediately invested, given the worlds where they come from. And right before they could do anything with it that could kind of tarnish the possibility or whatever, and, you know, actually putting things in motion, Matanza shuts it down. And I like that, because we could go back to that later. You know, we never know when Matanza and the Moth Tribe could interact again. And it won't be too soon, because I loved what they did tonight. Both Matanza and Mariposa, and Matanza and Marty, who, let me give a shout out to my boy Marty, who I know listens to the show and has had our back. Marty, we fucking love you. I loved his performance too, bro. What did you think of Marty tonight?
Marty was freaking amazing tonight. Honestly, if I had to pick somebody who did the most with the least amount of time, like if we were to make a spreadsheet where we would list the 20 performers, and then column 2 would be the amount of time that they were from their entrance to their elimination, and then column 3 would be like the star rating that I give their performance in the match, I think Marty was number one on that list. As far as if you would take the number of the amount of time divided by how well they did, he would have the best score there because he did so much with like 3 minutes. It felt like he was in this match for a blink of an eye, and he was awesome between like immediately showing up and taking the fight to Matanza. You don't see anyone do that, and he did it. And not only did he do it, but he actually did it successfully for a period of time.
I'm so glad I handed the ball to you because consistently you can always articulate what I'm feeling better than I can. But for all the reasons you just listed, this is why Marty, just in general, being objective in terms of heel work, is my favorite heel in the game today because he does crazy to perfection and he's got a credibility about him that the moment Lucha Underground really gets serious and they're like, we want Marty to be a main event player and maybe even our champion, it's over. Like, he is going to score touchdown after fucking touchdown, and he's already doing it now with this placement on the card. Like you said, he took the fight to Matanza, and he embodied my favorite Jim Ross philosophy, maximizing your minutes. Marty embodied that tonight. Because he came in there and he said, I'm going to be a standout. I'm going to create a moment. And he did. Because all that made me want is Marty versus Matanza down the road. Even if Matanza is playing the Technico in that situation, or Marty is, it doesn't matter. I think those two could create fucking magic together. Marty is a guy, I'm telling you, 2016, he laid the groundwork. 2017, you want to talk about people we keep our eye on, which we usually talk about at our TWitWoW Awards, I can already tell you right now. Anybody with any sense who's also a Lucha Underground fan, you need to keep your eye on Marty the Moth for 2017 because performances like this, it is inevitable that he is going to break out and do just the biggest things in that temple. Very proud of his performance tonight, despite how brief it was. Anybody else you want to spotlight and kind of single out to assess their performance?
Well, I mean, there are a few little, like, almost kind of, what are they called? Easter eggs. There are kind of some Easter eggs as far as the entrance order because, I mean, as we discussed, Johnny Mundo came out number 2, Sexy Star came out number 12, but that was just because Johnny Mundo mouthed off to Cueto. So you never know. Who's to say if he hadn't mouthed off to Cueto, Sexy Star might have come in at number 2, and she might not have been, given the luxury of Mil Muertes basically beating himself when it came down to just the two of them.
Right. I mean, and it does open that possibility.
We could have had Johnny Mundo as our new world champ, or it could have, things could have gone completely differently. Sexy Star could have got eliminated early, and then the champion would have been complete wild card. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, Sexy Star had the only elimination that Sexy Star had was Mil at the end. Oh no, she also eliminated Mundo because of Angelico. But you also have to wonder if Worldwide Underground wasn't picking on Sexy Star, would Angelico have even felt compelled to return tonight?
I mean, maybe because remember, I mean, Angelico, if anybody has legitimate beef, and I hate to even give him this much, it is Angelico because of that vignette where his leg just got crushed thanks to Worldwide Underground.
By a car door.
It feels good to laugh after what happened tonight. But, yeah, I love that too. And let me just say this. I mean, because we've been talking about Mundo, I might as well talk about his performance. And I know you say with all stuff Mundo, I take the reins. I fucking loved it. And what I love about Lucha Underground, and they have got me by the balls, people. They have got me by the balls for next week, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Even when I know what rationality says, and it could be with Mundo, it could be with Son of Havoc, because I love a lot of people in the temple. It's not just Mundo. I love that whole locker room. Again, hardest working locker room. All my respect to all of them. But they get me to suspend my disbelief like nobody else, because I just always think, well, is there a chance? Because the moment Mundo made it to Final Four, and I even said to this magnificent bastard right here, before we even went live, I'm like, even if he makes it to Final Four, I've got to stay calm. And he makes it to Final Four, and I'm like, I could be calm, but this is live reaction, so I'm going to lose my shit. It was a great performance by him tonight. Him, Worldwide Underground, you can tell he has so much fun being a heel, and he loves it, and it's just second nature to him. And that's why I wanted him to turn for so long. And it's just been his best body of work ever. Really impressed with Aztec Warfare 3. And this won't be the last I talk about him, but this will be the last I talk about him for now. But yeah, great performance by Mundo. And on Helico's return, you know what? In all sincerity, because this is the more objective review here, really glad to see Angelico back in the fold, because he's another guy. He's another guy that I think is going to do amazing things. And I feel like he's kind of not necessarily lost in the shuffle, because he's clearly not. Because clearly he has an objective, he has a goal, but he hasn't really like been in the thick of things too much because of the kayfabe injuries and everything. So now he'll really be able to get back in the universe. And I know you're a huge Angelico fan. I mean, how do you feel about him being back in the fold?
Honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed by the way that he returned. I feel like it would have been so much more effective if he would have returned as one of the members of Aztec Warfare, and you could even say Evilise, you could have had Evilise come out on crutches and then have Angelico at the top of Cueto's roof and have her point at him. And then he jumps off the freaking roof and destroys Worldwide Underground. Like I think they could have done a better job of making Angelico's return have more of an impact.
I can see where you're coming from there. You know what's funny? I'm so paranoid when it comes to Mundo, and you and I were saying, well, Angelico's got to return sometime. Well, sometime just happened to be tonight. And I mean, his top rope dives, always sick, always. It's funny because this is like, what, his third one? And I still haven't gotten tired of them. It still takes my breath away. It still causes that hitch in my throat. Like, is he dead? And, you know, when he moves, I'm like, oh, thank God. Because even I'm not that evil. So, you know, it was a great return. But I definitely get what you mean. Like, Lucha Underground, where they excel, right, is the presentation. And I think you might have been looking for a bit of a better presentation for Angelico. I've got so much I want to say, too, about Mundo.
I just think it would have been really cool if they would have used Evilise's injury to return Angelico.
Yeah, because of that history with Team Havoc and everything. And
because you kind of have, like, you know, one person who was supposed to be in Aztec Warfare that can't be, and then another person who you didn't expect to be in Aztec Warfare that can be, and it just kind of fits perfectly, like puzzle pieces.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I completely agree. Not much more I can add to that. So any other moments in Aztec Warfare that you want to talk about? Because I know we'll have a lot to say about, you know, the finish and everything, but before that.
Yeah, I mean, oh, dude, there's just so much. I think if I had to list like my top 3 favorite moments of Aztec Warfare 3, number 1 by far would have to be the debut of the Black Lotus Triad.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They killed it tonight.
These 3 women coming in from Stardom, and then sadly, I think that it were only on like a 1-season deal with Lucha Underground, because all the dirt sheets are reporting that Io Shirai and Kairi Hojo are WWE bound in 2017. So I don't think they're going to stick around for long. But the fact that we have them for this season, and the fact that they debuted in such an awesome and epic way, and the fact that their debut was to eliminate Pentagon Dark from Aztec Warfare 3 is just awesome, dude. Like, this was freaking an amazing debut. And then, of course, Shirai with the flip pile driver on Pentagon, kind of a taste of his own medicine, since he likes to use that on people a lot. Just perfect way to debut the Stardom Trio as the Black Lotus Triad.
And can I just say, now part of me doesn't want to be that guy, but part of me kind of does, because I know it shouldn't be a big deal and it should feel normal, but I still feel like there's a certain point where we should just point out, I love that these are just badass fucking women, and not even in a stereotypical way like some Charlie Angels bullshit. No, like, they will kick your fucking ass and hand you your goddamn teeth. I'm telling you, this... because a lot of people will say, oh, this movie had really great female empowerment because it had a female lead that just kicked ass, or this one shattered tropes. No, Aztec Warfare 3, I'll tell you, probably the greatest hour just for certain individual moments for women, because they kicked ass tonight. Absolutely wonderful. And this Black Lotus Triad, man, I wouldn't want to fuck. I don't want to fuck with anybody in Lucha Underground. Keep me away from that temple unless I'm a believer watching the show. Like, I don't want any of that action. Everybody could kick my ass, man. That's some scary shit. That Triad, man, what a debut. And really, on a separate note, man, does Lucha Underground consistently know how to maximize their resources. When you had Ray come in, who's a legend, he loses his first match in Aztec Warfare to better Matanza. which is why I was actually perfectly okay with Ray pinning Matanza in this thing, because Matanza ate a shit ton of finishers prior, and everything came full circle. And then you've got the Black Lotus Triad, who you have to establish immediately, because with all the vignettes and threats and everything, they have to seem like a big deal. And guess what? Lucha Underground pulled it off, because they came in like shadows in the fucking night. They did their business and they're out. I love that. Yep. I love it so fucking much. Like, they know, dude. They know. And that's why I'm so excited about the Rabbit Tribe, who we did not get tonight, by the way. But that's why I'm so excited.
I'm fully expecting to see them next week. They did that in season 1 with Cage. They were hyping him up from like episode 5. And on almost every episode, you would see a vignette of Cage and that he was going to be debuting. And then Aztec Warfare rolls around, and you and I were both kind of expecting to see him in that, but he wasn't. And then he showed up on episode 10 in a debut match.
Yes. Yes. And again, Lucha Underground, 9 times out of 10. Hell, at times I'm even tempted to say 10 times out of 10. I mean, they nail presentation. It's their bread and fucking butter. And the Rabbit Tribe, man, I'm enthralled. Just their, and see, here's the thing. Their absence and the idea that we're talking about them right now, that's the victory you're looking for. Because are people still talking about it when I don't give them anything? Yes, then we're good to go. Then I know I just got to play the rest of the cards out. I can't wait to see what these guys do again, to your point, presumably next week. And yeah, I think it's going to be excellent. To that end, what else is there to talk? Well, I mean, you know, we had.
Well, I mean, I want to kind of bring it back to the Black Lotus Triad, because we already talked about Io Shirai with the flip pile driver she did to Pentagon. We didn't really get to see much from Mayu Iwatani or Kairi Hojo, but I'm not overly familiar with Iwatani, so I want to plead ignorance on that one. But Kairi Hojo has got legitimately, I don't even want to say one of, I'm going to say the best elbow drop I have ever seen in pro wrestling.
Yes. Yes.
Have you seen it,
gorgeous. I believe I have, actually, because I think I've seen it in clips. Somebody might have actually sent me something of hers with that elbow drop. It might have been Brandon Best for all I know, or Jackie, because she always gives me the hookup with women's wrestling because she's awesome. So I think I have seen it.
A message in the Google Hangouts chat with a link to a GIF of the elbow drop, and I'm also going to post that same GIF in the YouTube chat so that everyone else can see it as well. But her elbow drop is incredible.
Yes, and I want to let you know, partner, that I'm looking at it now, and I think I have seen that in video form, or maybe even like a similar elbow drop in a different venue. But yeah, it's fucking gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Form is perfect. It looks devastating.
The way that she flings her feet up into the air so that it looks like she's a freaking meteor coming down off the top rope to destroy her opponent. I've never seen anybody make an elbow drop look more painful than she does.
Yes, excellent point. I agree. I love it. I love this whole collection of people because they're going to get the job done. Like, here's the thing. You know that the Black Lotus Triad is a success when I'm telling Pentagon Dark, of all fucking people, to watch himself. And it was a great setup, too, because Pentagon Dark just readily handles Ricky Mandel, who apparently the power of those photos wasn't enough because he just got disposed of so quickly. And Pentagon Dark was about to break his arm again. And their timing was so perfect because he was about to break the arm, which, of course, it's what he did to Black Lotus, and she swore revenge. And then they struck, and it was amazing. Almost Shield-esque, if I do say something, because they just fucking swarmed him. Never had a chance. And bam, was he eliminated. So.
Oh, and another little Easter egg regarding entrance numbers. Ricky Mandel, formerly known as Trece, as one of the disciples of death, came out as entrant number Trece, which is Spanish for 13.
Ah, look at you with the pickups. See, this is why we work, because I don't make pickups or have insights like that. That's an excellent point. Great nod to past lore, in the universe. Yeah, I mean, anything else you want to say about the Black Lotus Triad, or are there other moments you want to shift to in this match?
I could talk about them all night, but no. The Marty really, I kind of mentioned, like, if I had to make a top 3 list, number 1 would be the Black Lotus Triad. Number 2 would be Marty, just kind of in general. But if I had to be more specific, I would say him immediately going after Matanza and brawling with him and kind of taking him out of the ring. And that whole sequence was amazing. Yeah. And then number 3 would have been Angelico's dive. Those are like my top 3 moments. Let's talk about some of the more kind of triumphant moments. Actually, let's talk about the elimination. So obviously Jeremiah was the first one to be eliminated by Matanza.
Yes.
And that, I think he just hit him with, wasn't it just like the swinging choke slam, or was it something else?
I thought he got him with Wrath of the Gods.
No, I don't. Did he? I don't think he did.
I thought he did. But maybe you're right. Maybe it
might
was
have
just
even
a
been.
choke slam.
It might have even. You know what? I don't even remember. Because I know he pinned somebody off of the swinging choke slam. He pinned somebody off of just that awesome German suplex with the dip. That might have been Jeremiah. It might have been the German.
Yeah, it was the German. And you know what? I think Mariposa was the choke slam.
Yeah, that's what it was. And those were consecutive. And, I mean, if you want to kind of get angry that Mariposa got pinned so easily, also remember, El Dragon Azteca Jr. was pinned by that same move last year, and Jeremiah hit Mariposa with a J-Driller prior to this.
Yes, and by the way, and I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't mention this when we were talking about Jeremiah. Keep that. I hope that's his finisher because he makes it look gorgeous. I think it was.
Yeah, he does it better than Jay Briscoe,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, which was a point I believe Jarveris Carter made in the chat during live reactions. Like, yeah, he does a better Jay Driller than Jay fucking Briscoe, and that's certainly seconded here. I thought it was gorgeous. So keep going with the eliminations.
Oh, yeah. Then we had Son of Havoc eliminated by Jack Evans. That was kind of a big double team by Mundo and Evans.
Right.
And then we had the Black Lotus Triad show up, and it allowed Johnny Mundo to pin Pentagon Dark. And then Ricky Mandel showed up and got obliterated, and PJ Black ended up pinning him. Who obliterated Ricky Mandel? Was it Matanza or was it Pentagon? I don't remember.
It was Pentagon.
Yeah.
It was because he did the package pile driver, and then I think Worldwide Underground came in and picked up the scraps.
Yeah, well, yeah, because Pentagon had been eliminated.
Right.
So then Mascarita Sagrada was eliminated by Matanza relatively quickly.
Right.
And then Famous B and Marty Martinez were both eliminated by Rey Mysterio consecutively. And then Dr. Wagner Jr. was eliminated by Matanza while Joey Ryan was eliminated by Mil Muertes. That was the double pin.
That was a great that stare down between those two, though. Jesus
Joey Ryan proving that he is insane by Einstein's definition of insanity, trying the exact same thing a second year in a row.
Yeah, I mean, he's still my favorite corrupt cop, but you're absolutely right there. I don't know what Joey Ryan.
The crazy thing this time is, like last time, Matanza didn't break the handcuffs. He bent the metal that they were attached to and just kind of slid them off the bar. But Mil straight up broke the handcuffs.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
that's a different
was
kind
crazy.
of power right there.
Absolutely, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So then we had Jack Evans eliminated by the Mac.
Right.
And then PJ Black eliminated by the Mac with an assist from Sexy Star.
Yeah, the Mac killed it tonight, man. I love the Mac, and it was great to see his performance in this. He was so much fun in here.
And then it was interesting because when Cobra Moon came out at 19, she just kind of sat at the announcer's desk and teased / flirted with / messed with the head of Vampiro for 60 seconds until Drago came out. Because then when Drago came out, he immediately went after Cobra Moon, and he actually ended up being the one to eliminate her with the Dragon's Tail pinning combination.
Yeah, I thought that was great because you have Drago, who's been asserting himself throughout this story. I'm no longer a slave, pretty much saying I am a free dragon. I do what I want. I'm living my own life now. And I feel like him pinning Cobra Moon, who's been wanting to get him back into his old role, that's kind of him affirming his autonomy, saying, it's not going to be that easy. So, from a storytelling perspective, I liked it. I thought it was the right move, and I was totally, especially given how Drago was eliminated. It was nice that we threw Drago a bone prior, so good stuff.
You know what? I think I'm trying to figure out how many people have been in all 3 Aztec Warfare matches. Because I know Mundo and Havoc, but Pentagon wasn't in the second one because he was like a special appearance to help everyone else eliminate Mil Muertes.
Right.
And then there are so many people who debuted in season 2 that were in this or late in season 1. It's unbelievable. I think Sexy Star has been in all 3, right?
I believe you're correct, yes.
She would only be the 3rd person on this entire list that's been in all 3. And then I don't know about Mil and Drago, but those 2 would be the only other ones I could think of that might have been in all 3.
Right.
But yeah, like out of 20 people, I think maybe like 6 or 7 of them have been in all three. Like this show has been on for just a tiny little bit over 2 years now. We've had 2.5 seasons, not even 2.25 seasons, really.
Right.
And already there is enough of a rotation on the roster that there are only 6 or 7 people on the entire roster that can lay claim to having been in all 3 Aztec Warfare matches. How crazy is that?
That's insanity is what that is. Just fucking amazing. Lucha Underground, they just get it, man. They get how to work an hour of television. They've owned the science, and it really shows in nights like this. My God, what an hour this was. So what came next? Where are we now at this match? Because I know you're going through eliminations. Because I know we just talked about Drago eliminating Cobra Moon.
Well, and then immediately Drago ended up getting eliminated by Matanza.
And in all honesty, and let me just say this, that was probably my spot of the night. I still can't believe that shit happened. That one moment, like that flipping moonsault slam.
Can you remind me what he? Oh wait, what was it? Oh, the moonsault slam! Oh my God, yes.
Dude, I nearly shat myself. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, holy fucking
that
shit.
Was incredible. Like, if you would hold a decibel meter up to our live reactions video, I'm pretty sure that reaction was the loudest.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, Jeff Cobb, and even still as Matanza, despite having the God character and everything, just the athleticism, and I even said it on live reactions, on par with Collegian Steiner when he was with the Steiner brothers before he became Big Papa Pump. So I'll say pre-Big Papa Pump Steiner. Just unbelievable athleticism. And that's the shit I live for. Like anybody that knows me knows.
I mean, we could just say pre-steroids, Scott Steiner.
Yeah, you know what, though? He vehemently denies it, and I always like to be, very cautious unless it's been outright proved. So I'll just keep saying pre-Big Papa Pump. But athleticism is just insane, and anybody that knows me knows
pre-Freakzilla.
Pre-Freakzilla, there you go. But anybody that knows me knows
I'm just trying to save some syllables here, but in the process, I'm making it way more complicated than it needs to be.
Exactly. But I live for that stuff, because anybody that's a technician or catches can or any of that style, and I love what a juxtaposition it is too, and I love that Lucha Underground is kind of shaking up the paradigm a little bit, because you look at a guy like Matanza and you think, oh, what is he, just choke slams and tombstones and all that? And yeah, he does choke slams and he does power bombs and he does all that, but he has that technical finesse that I think totally just defies the character trope of the monster. And that's what I think just makes him so next level. And that moonsault slam, I mean, my mouth hit the goddamn floor. I don't have to worry about flies for the next 12 months because they all took residence in my mouth. I mean, Jesus Christ. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Definitely spot of the night for me. And that's again counting on Helico's dive. Dude, flipping biodrop, everything.
Who was it that slapped Matanza as soon as they got into the ring?
Was that Marty? That was Marty.
Yeah. He's so freaking good. I keep coming back to like random things that happened in the match, and it turns out to be Marty. Like, of course it was. Like, the best stunner cell I've seen since The Rock goes to Marty.
I'm telling you, dude, he has it. He is the guy that the moment they're like, okay, Marty, your turn, he's going to carry that ball away. I mean, I hope nobody wanted to see it for a while, because when he really gets it, he is just going to touchdown after touchdown. He's that kind of performer. I love the guy to death, too. I mean, one of the best people. And I'm just so happy for the outing he had tonight.
I know Chris Joseph would appreciate this reference. Marty the Moth Martinez is the David Johnson of wrestlers. You just give him the ball, and he is just going to produce for you. It doesn't matter if it's touchdowns or yards or first downs. He is just going to make things happen. And 9 times out of 10, or really 99 times out of 100, the thing that he makes happen is gold.
And I'll tell you, actually, sometimes you and we play this game of, oh, what top 10 or top 5 or however many would you want to bring, like, for your wrestling promotion? Marty would be in my top 10, maybe even in my top 5 for that very reason. He might not have, like, the brand name recognition like a John Cena or a Randy Orton yet, but the idea that this guy consistently produces, that's what a startup needs, is consistency. And Lucha Underground is still in its infancy yet, still a very young promotion. And, I mean, Marty the Moth, you want to talk about a catch. I know they're so grateful he plays for that team, you know, and he is a part of that promotion because he's a guy you could put in any position anywhere and he's going to maximize it. And tonight was no different. Very proud of him. But I think we're getting towards the end of this match here, though, because
you know what's crazy, dude, is
there
were obviously, because there were 20 people and one person had to win, there were 19 eliminations tonight, and of those 19 eliminations, only 3 of them were by people who only got 1 elimination. Every other elimination was done by somebody that had more than 1. Those 3 people that only had 1 elimination were Jack Evans, who eliminated Son of Havoc, PJ Black, who eliminated Ricky Mandel, and Drago eliminated Cobra Moon. Every other elimination was done by somebody who had eliminated more than just that person.
Well, that's really something, man. I'll tell you. That's
Matanza
crazy.
Last year, Matanza had 9 eliminations. This year, he only had 5.
Okay.
Rey Mysterio had 3. Johnny Mundo had
Not bad.
2. Sexy Star had 2. Mil Muertes had 2. The Mac had 2. I think that might be it.
Yeah, I mean, when you break down the numbers, very interesting. And Matanza's still so dominant. Maybe not as dominant as last year, but man, 5 eliminations in a match as chaotic as Aztec Warfare, that's impressive.
And really, I think that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you kind of look back at the list that I just made, Matanza's the only person with more than 2 eliminations. Everyone else had 1 or 2. Matanza had 5.
Yeah, I mean, even in defeat, sheer fucking dominance.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And speaking of defeat, though, because wasn't it at the point after he eliminated Drago that everybody finally started to smarten up and like, okay, we need to neutralize this shit now.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone went after Matanza, including Mil. Who I think Mil's spear was the biggest difference maker for getting Matanza pinned.
Yes, I agree with you. I mean, you're talking about just a colossal force bringing everything to Matanza. Yeah, definitely changed the landscape of this match.
Yeah. I mean, in this match, we even saw Johnny Mundo do the eye poke to Matanza.
Yes. And Johnny Mundo is resourceful. And again, I'll be talking about him just a little more in a little bit. But yeah, Matanza, everybody ganging up on him. That was great. And then Rey, ultimately, he gets the 1-6-1-9.
It looked like Matanza was going to do the thrill of the kill to Rey. You know, Cuerno's second finisher.
Right.
Oh, I thought he was going to get him. I thought Matanza was going to kill Rey in that moment because, like, that's the move that Cuerno used to beat Phoenix for the Gift of the Gods the first time. That tombstone, that, like, reverse around the back cradle tombstone pile driver. And Rey shifted the leverage and the center of gravity to the point that he could flip Matanza over into a sunset flip, and he got the pin off of it.
Yeah, that's how Matanza goes down. And you know what? I know some people, when we were live reacting, were like, oh, really? I was totally cool with this.
And you know what, dude? Here's the beautiful thing. Dario Cueto has been going so far out of his way to prevent Rey from getting a title shot on Matanza. But now that Rey eliminated Matanza, that would have pissed Cueto off. But if Matanza would have somehow managed to get the title again, he still wouldn't have let Rey get a shot at him. But now that Matanza doesn't have the title and he's pissed off at Rey, those two are going to kill each other. Or more specifically, Matanza's going to just obliterate Rey, and then Rey is somehow going to manage to make comebacks and keep it believable.
Which, I mean, the process already started because after Matanza got eliminated, he was enraged. So much so, he even shoved Dario Cueto, which I'll be interested to see.
Cueto! Poor. I told you, man. Say poor Dario because he's the manipulative prick that's making his little brother fight like this.
I'm telling you, dude, I've gotten a vibe ever since those two came together. Majin Buu and Babidi. And right now, Babidi, your throat's about to get like seized and your head's about to come off your shoulders. It's coming, dude. I still believe it. I'm still sticking with it. But yeah, if I thought what he did to Cueto only got shoved.
Remember, that whole thing kind of ended up turning Majin Buu into almost like a sympathetic character. And I think they might even go that direction with Matanza as well.
I mean, there's definitely a sympathetic element to him. Again, if you read the comics, which I still encourage everybody to do. No, I'm not going to shut up about it because they're amazing.
That was issue number 4.
There you go. Thank you. He's already got sympathetic elements to him And now just seeing him in Aztec Warrior, which, by the way, that's the beauty of this character too. Matanza never, I mean, we knew he could speak given the vignette he had with Cueto last week, where he's clapping and then he says that, he says war, I think was the word he said. But he wasn't the one with strutting his fucking stuff saying, oh, I can beat anybody, put me in number one. That was Cueto. Like, what happened to Matanza tonight, you could really say was all Cueto's fault. Because
it was
he was the one that said, it was absolutely preventable, but Cueto decided to get on a microphone and say, since I'm so confident that nobody can beat my brother, he is coming in at number one. And, you know, just it blew up in your face, dude. It blew up in your face. So already, like, if you're sympathetic to people that work hard for something, that build records, that hold championships, you know, what have you, Cueto was the reason that all got snatched out from underneath Matanza. But yet, Cueto isn't the victim here. It's Ray. Because Matanza just brutalizes his ass. Yeah. I think he did. Where did he do Wrath of the Gods? Did he do it like through a table or just on the floor? Because I know he destroyed Ray's back like he did Pentagon.
Did he use a chair to do it?
He might have used a chair to do it too, dude. You might be right about that.
I don't remember. I think he might have just done it to him in the ring, but with like a lot of force.
Yeah, I mean, he wrecked Ray. I mean, Ray was just done. And Matanza goes to the back, which tells me again, Matanza, I don't think is immediately going to go back in the world title picture. I mean, why? We've already seen him so dominant, and now he's picked a fight with Ray. I mean, maybe El Dragon Azteca Jr. is going to come back soon. He's going to get wind of what happened to Ray. He's going to try and take matters into his own hands.
We still haven't seen the Azteca Jr. versus Matanza match, and they've been building to that since like the first 7 or 8 episodes of season 2.
Yeah, I mean, we can just write it in.
They've literally been building to Azteca Jr. versus Matanza since before Matanza officially debuted.
Yeah. And now, I know I said I really should have said like Roger Joseph, any of the writers of Lucha Underground could just have it where Azteca got wind of it somehow. You know, what happened to Ray. He immediately picks a fight with Matanza, and it's a fight that goes on just long enough for Ray to come back. You know, and I think that keeps Matanza interesting. No reason to get him back in the world title picture after just losing the title, especially under those circumstances and what happened afterwards. Let's play with that, because then when Matanza takes care of that business and goes after the world title again, which I'm sure he will do, it's going to mean that much more because it's, he didn't come back for it right away. He handled his business first, and now it's a wide open terrain. Who's going to stop him? And that's just going to keep him so interesting to me as a monster. So, yeah, I hope we get Matanza and El Dragon Azteca Jr., and then I do hope we get a formal Rey Mysterio-Matanza one-on-one match. Hell, that may be an Ultima Lucha Trace match, depending on how they want to play their cards, but I'm not sure. So, we'll see.
Yep. Oh, man. Okay, so then, after the whole Matanza getting eliminated thing, Rey got eliminated because of the Matanza beatdown by Johnny Mundo.
Yeah, that was so fucking satisfying. I'm sorry. I just,
you know, Worldwide Underground guys show up, even though they're eliminated already, and the 3-on-1 beatdown with those 3 guys on Sexy Star, and then Angelico shows up.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like, I have a lot I want to say, but I want to wait until we get to the finish and do closing remarks. So, I mean, that did happen. Great return for Angelico. And really great performance by Mundo up until the bitter end. I mean, still just a fucking amazing heel who's having an incredible year. And this is just another feather in his cap. So then we get down to Sexy Star, the Mac, and Muertes. And Mac doesn't fare too well, Ashton.
You think?
Nah, yeah, I do think. I think actually what happened, if memory serves, he got spiked on his damn head because of the flatliner. That was,
you know what? I think saying spiked on his head might even be too generous. This dude got spiked on his face.
Yeah, it was fucking brutal. Like, Mill showed no mercy. It was incredible, and he pins the Mac, which means now we finally come to our final 2, Mil Muertes, Sexy Star. Bro, I'm going to give you the reins first. What did you think about this final showdown and the end result?
I think that Mil Muertes let his hubris get the best of him, and I think Katrina should have been in his ear trying to get him to focus.
Absolutely. It was the same way with Grave Consequences against Puma. The only difference is at least it paid off last week. This week it does not, because Mil was so fixated on, I want to hurt her.
No, you know what, John? I'm going to actually correct you there, because let's not forget Puma was the one that set up all those tables on the outside, and those were his downfall.
That is true. That is a good point.
So
But
you could even
still,
argue that both this week and last week, whatever interaction Mil Muertes was involved in, the person who got overzealous and had their hubris get the best of them, and they decided that beating their opponent up was more important than winning the match, that's the person who lost.
right.
Last
And
week it was
in
Puma,
this,
this week it was Mil Muertes.
yeah, it was Mil Muerte, Sexy Star. And the finish, I felt like they played it nice because it seems so true to the Sexy Star character, and they did it in a way where I could believe it. And that's another thing I got to give Lucha Underground credit for. We thought we were faced with this conundrum. How is Sexy Star going to beat Matanza? The answer, she doesn't have to. In fact, she doesn't even have to have Gift of the Gods, which I'm going to return to that point in a second. Wanted to do a flatliner off the top rope through the table to Sexy Star. I love the crowd shot too. It was almost like a before or after effect, because when he's got her set up, people are covering their mouths. They're like, oh my God, you know, is he really going to hurt her? Like, that's really going to be devastating. And then when Sexy fights out of it, even just the first few elbows, they come out of their seats and they're overjoyed because they're like, oh man, is this going to happen? And to answer your question, yes, it does, because she throws Mil off the top rope through the table, and then a double stomp hooks the leg. And now Sexy Star, who I said very early on in this promotion's history was going to be the first luchadora to be Lucha Underground champion, finally brings it full circle. Sexy Star is the world champion, and I'll save all the snark for next week, but for tonight, she deserves it. I think it's amazing for Lucha Underground to take this step. It feels organic. It feels true to the Sexy Star character. Of course, she would win the title this way and not a Gift of the Gods cash in. And again, just more proof. WWE talks about a revolution and they jerk themselves off. Lucha Underground's actually doing it. Between the Black Lotus triad and this makes women in wrestling feel important. This makes women in wrestling feel like they matter. Not when you use it and then you tell everybody fucking about it and jerk yourself off. Again, I feel like was done at Hell in a Cell by the WWE. These guys just quietly doing their thing and doing it right. And congratulations to Sexy. Should be very interesting, which brings me to my final point that I've been waiting to talk about. Next week, first title defense, because we got announced in the vignette at the start of the show that Johnny Mundo again said, if by some miracle I don't win, I'm cashing in. And now we look at the history between these two, very, early history, very recent history. Johnny Mundo beat Sexy Star with for Gift of the Gods with brass knucks and Worldwide Underground interference. Let's be fair here. Sexy Star, only reason she eliminated Johnny Mundo was because of the dive by on Helico. So both of these guys, with their wins over each other, have had assistance. How is next week going to play out in Sexy Star's first title defense? Because I'll be honest, no one on Helico's back, and knowing the Mac will probably have her back, I have my doubts, but I'm really excited. One-on-one, we're doing this again, Johnny Mundo and Sexy Star. And I also feel like...
I just thought of something. We've got Sexy Star and the three members of the Trios champions, plus the Mac and on Helico. Worldwide Underground is outnumbered. Maybe we'll see the fifth member of Worldwide Underground this coming week.
Oh, dude, I didn't even... That is a fucking great point. Because honestly, as you can imagine, I've been so obsessed and so zoned in on, very myopic in my vision about Mundo and the world title. I didn't even really think about Lucha, Worldwide Underground, I should say, as a whole in that way, that they are getting a new member. And that could be, dude, next week's going to be chaos. And I stand by, even with these developments, people, don't give up hope on me, because I still stand by what I said. I think I said it to you, Ashton. I don't know if I said it in recording. Next week to me is still very much up in the air, because Mundo's cashing in and has a 50-50 success rate. Phoenix was successful. Cage was not. It's Sexy Star's first title defense, which, makes me kind of worried. But then again, Phoenix lost in his first defense. So there's no safe ground. And that's what I love about Lucha Underground. There's no safe ground, no tropes, no notions that you can comfortably rest on, because that's not what Lucha Underground's about. They don't rely on that shit. At any moment, they could shake things up. Could Mundo win next week? Absolutely. And if he does, say bye-bye to me, because I'm probably going to die. If he doesn't, I'll be dejected and I'll probably need a lot of shoulders to lean on, so I'll be counting on my scum squad. But next week, so up in the air, and already I can't wait for it. Just knowing it's coming.
What, too, dude? I just also want to point out, not only does this make Lucha Underground the first mainstream... Here, let me actually rewind. Lucha Underground was already the first mainstream wrestling show to feature intergender wrestling, where women and men are considered equals and fight each other with no rules kind of, limiting one or the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, not only are they the first company to do that, since TNA kind of picked up on that trend last year with their big tournament that they had like Gail Kim be a part of and shit like that, but now Lucha Underground is the first mainstream company to have a female champion.
Yes.
And she's not a women's champion. She's not a divas champion. She's not a knockouts champion. She is the world heavyweight champion. There is, you know what? Even if she does only hold the title for 1 week and Mundo picks it up next week, you can never take away that Lucha Underground had the first ever women's, or female rather, world heavyweight champion for their company.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm saving all the snark for next week. I mean, my mind's already there. For tonight, Sexy Star deserves this. I think she's an amazing representative because I know I was very invective towards her in my Gift of the Gods markout, which actually quite nicely ties into this whole feud. But, in all sincerity, and you know it, from our very early Lucha Underground reviews, I've gone to bat for Sexy. I thought this could happen for her, and to see that it has, again.
Dude, how early on into our season 1 viewing were you jumping into the front line and saying, I think Sexy Star is going to be the first female Lucha Underground champion?
Yeah, very early on. Very early on.
And I'm not even going to try and share that credit. That was all you, brother.
Yeah, and you know what, dude? Say what you will about it, because even I've had my criticism. I don't like sometimes that she relies on a roll-up of death type finish to get her wins, or I don't like how she could be OP sometimes. But here's the thing. The performer as a person, amazing. And
do you know why Sexy Star won tonight? Because it wasn't a roll-up. It wasn't because she overpowered some gigantic human being. She won tonight because of hubris and gravity. It is that simple. Mill got overconfident. Rather than just hitting her with a simple flatliner that probably would have put her out for good, he decided to do overkill. He set up a table, went to the top rope, took so much time, and then Sexy Star did what a smart person does in that situation, took advantage of the fact that he was in a precarious position, didn't have the best balance. Mill is super broad and top heavy, so she just knocked him off balance. He fell into the table, and then she used her body weight, even if it is only 110, 115 pounds, that barreling down onto your chest is going to drive the wind out of you, and she got the pin. And my whole thing with that, too, if you're going to complain that a 115-pound woman could defeat a 260-pound man like Mil Muertes, you're not allowed to complain that a 220-pound Chris Benoit could defeat a 500-pound Big Show, because it's the same kind of weight difference.
Exactly. And hey,
and even earlier on in the match, Rey Mysterio is like 150 soaking wet, and he beat who, John? Matanza.
With a Yoshi tonic, relying on Matanza's momentum to just, drive him down into the canvas for the 3 count.
Exactly. So, and that's what pisses me off, because I know that pricks like Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer, and specifically Alvarez. I mean, Meltzer, he's just kind of wishy-washy about everything. I don't think he has any true, actual opinions. But Alvarez has this weird issue with the male on female stuff because, anytime you see the male on female stuff, it's always the male beating on the female, and then the female gets some kind of reversal, and either she wins or he counters the reversal and he wins. Well, how is that any different than big guy versus little guy? It's the same freaking thing. The only difference is in one scenario, one of the performers doesn't have a penis.
Yeah. I mean, that really is true. And you know what? I'm not in the mood to hear anybody bitch about it because, again, all sincerity, Sexy Star is a quality performer.
And about Chris Benoit versus the Big Show. How about Rey Mysterio versus the Big Show? That happened too, and Rey's like a third of the size of Big Show.
Yeah, and I mean, look, again, with the Chris Benoit Big Show thing, because I'm actually glad you referenced that first. When Benoit eliminated Big Show last 2004 Royal Rumble, you know how that happened? He shifted the fucking weight. Fucking science, people. Gravity. Yeah, he used it, and that's how he won. Same way Sexy Star used it, and she won. To me, there's no room for complaint here. And what I love about it, too, even if you don't take umbrage with that, I love the story because, again, it was even uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable. That's the wrong word. It was interesting to me to begin with that Sexy Star was Gift of the Gods champion because Gift of the Gods, yeah, you get a week in advance and stuff, but so it doesn't have that money in the bank stigma, but it's still like, I'm front of the line, I'm cashing in, I'm doing this. For Sexy Star to scratch and claw and fight all these other people, that's Sexy Star. not just cutting to the front of the line, even with a week to prepare. That's not her. That's not the character. This is the sexy star character, and this is why it works. And let me tell you something. I mean, Lucha Underground, I know it was an accident because they tape so far in advance, but given the current climate post-election and everything, I think
You know
people
what, though, dude? How much of an accident could that really be? I understand that, there's only a certain number of dates that they could have picked to start airing their show, but it can't be a coincidence that they have this showing so soon after the election, because either way, if Hillary would have won, it would have been them kind of joining in on the girl power kind of thing. Trump
Right.
winning makes it even better because it's like, screw the establishment, women are important too, Trump can go F himself. Either way, sexy star winning is a political statement, but more importantly, it doesn't need to be a political statement in order to make sense,
No.
because they've been building her for like over a season now. I mean,
Oh,
last
yeah.
season, she was, she had this huge overcoming storyline where she had to beat Marty, and then the No Mas match with Marty Poso, which was my personal match of the year candidate until very recently. And now, and then even then she won Gift of the Gods. So you can't even say that they pulled off of pulled off the gas pedal at that point. And now she lost to Johnny Mundo because of a bunch of interference to Gift of the Gods, but they're keeping the gas pedal on her because now she's the freaking world champion. So it's not like they're just jumping onto some kind of trend, which is kind of something that I was a little bit, iffy about last year when she won the Gift of the Gods. But really, it's if you needed any further proof that they are committed to this woman and making sure that she is a star and believing that she already is a star, and her name even says she's a star of the sexy variety, you don't need any further proof than tonight. This is like, yeah, I was mildly skeptical last season when she won the Gift of the Gods that it was kind of like a political statement, like, oh yeah, we have a really powerful female character, look at us. But I've been proven wrong multiple times. I kind of felt bad even suspecting them of that last year because I should have known better. But now, like, you can't even say that because they've had the gas pedal on her. And another big reason that I was skeptical last season was because of how much time there was in between her matches. But now I'm starting to kind of realize that applies to everyone. Like, there are very few people who are on Lucha Underground every week or even every other week. So the fact that Sexy Star is a character that's been around since literally episode 1, and they've been pushing her with like a green light, rocket up the ass push since the beginning of season 2, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world that she would win tonight.
And brother, can I just tack on very quickly, because that was just brilliant, everything you just said, and I wholeheartedly agree. But I'm so glad you said it because, again, and I'm sorry, I don't want to be the broken record here, but it needs to be fucking said. This is why Lucha Underground is better with women and luchadoras than WWE is, because nothing about this felt manufactured in the sense of, oh, look at us being trendy and being at the forefront of stuff. You put this in a vacuum, outside of social and political conditions and all that other stuff, it still feels natural for every reason you just said, which is why I was so disgusted. And yeah, I'm going to use the word disgusted with the whole Hell in a Cell. Like, what about Sasha and Charlotte's rivalry screamed that they need Hell in a Cell? Sasha even said in her promo, let's make history, because that's what it was about for them. History wasn't something to be achieved through emotion or being organic.
With WWE, with their whole Hell in a Cell thing, really their whole women's revolution, it feels like with the way that WWE does it, it makes it feel like they see it as a charity. Like, this is kind of their version, like a newer version of, like, the Make-A-Wish stuff. Like, with the Make-A-Wish stuff, they always, like, yeah, you're doing something cool, but the fact that you're rubbing it in our faces and expecting us to praise the hell out of you for it, despite the fact that you're, blatantly and overtly rubbing it in our faces and bragging about it, makes it less of a genuine thing. It makes it look like you're only doing it for the credit that you get for doing it, rather than doing it because you want to. It's the same thing with the women's revolution. It doesn't look like you're doing this because you realize, you know what, guys, we've been backwards as hell for the last 20 years. Let's give women a legitimate shot to have equal standing with the men, because women and men should be treated equally. That's not what it feels like. It feels like, guys, there is this huge movement going on where people are starting to think that women are equal to men. We need to capitalize on this. We need to make a hashtag. We need to make a documentary. We need to bring up the NXT girls because they're popular, and we need to push them to the moon, and we need to do everything for them because this will make us so much money.
And again, right on the nose. And I'll just add on to that. To me, and I hate to use this kind of imagery, I don't mean to be that way, but to me, it just comes off as one giant glorified marketing hand job. Because when you have Stephanie,
that's what it feels like. There's nothing genuine about it. It doesn't feel like they genuinely changed their minds about women. It just feels like they want people to believe they did because then they'll get credit for it.
And dude, that's what's so sickening, because when you have Stephanie McMahon come out and name all these female performers, excuse me, that are doing things in other industries, I'm just sitting here like, oh, Stephanie, I might throw my back out, but here, let me bend down and pick up all these names you fucking dropped. Like, it's just so, let's service ourselves. Let's service our product. Lucha Underground, it had nothing to do with Sexy Star being a woman. To me, if anything, that was a side benefit, nothing more. She was a performer like everybody else in that locker room. She was a performer. She got her own unique stories and her own build, which culminated in her winning the championship, doing it the quintessential Sexy Star way, overcoming an obstacle. Nothing about gender, nothing about any of that crap. It's just because she's a performer like everybody else. And that's how you fucking do it. And I guarantee you tomorrow morning when we all wake up, we're not going to be plastered wall to wall with, oh, guys, we made history. First female Lucha Underground champion, because they're not obnoxious.
And you know what? That right there, the fact that they aren't obnoxious, the fact that they aren't going to go out of their way to shove it down our throats, that's why you and I and people like us need to point it out, because they won't, but they still deserve credit for it, so we should.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I have all the faith in the world in Sexy Star, a caliber performer and all that other stuff. I mean, yes, I do want her to drop it next week, obviously, but it's a great choice and it's a great moment, but it's not one. And I'm so thankful for it because honestly, dude, and this is coming from a guy, I love Mick Foley. But even when you and I watched the State of the WWE Universe address last night, and he's like, oh, well, Daniel, you claim to care about the women, but I didn't see, you have women headline a paper. It's like, shut up about it. That's the only reason you did it, so you can throw it in everybody else's face.
Exactly. That is the match that they booked so that Mick Foley could brag about the fact that they booked it.
And yeah, love that it was on a show. See, the women even then always get cheapened in some way because it was on a show that was billed as a triple main event. You're all winners, guys. No, Sexy Star was the only fucking winner tonight. That's all that fucking matters. Sexy Star won. She main evented. She's the world champion. No asterisks by it. She fucking won. She did it. You don't have to it's okay. It's okay to say a woman did something, and it's okay to just give it to her unequivocally. But not only can you not do that, but then you still feel like you're owed. You're owed the fucking chance to just jerk yourself off. Go fuck yourself so hard. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's been kind of building up. I don't know why I didn't do this rant at LNSL, but it's just been a whole problem with WWE's booking of the women in general. You can really create moments like Bayley and Glasgow on that one Raw. That was a moment because they fucking love her. And I'm glad they didn't abuse that into the ground. Lucha Underground, though, always so good with their women. Ivelisse, who I can't wait to see come back into the fold, has had a great story with Katrina, who's also been brilliant. And now Sexy Star, who, again, like I said, going to be the first luchador to be Lucha Underground World Champion. She did it, and it doesn't even feel out of place.
And you know what, dude? I kind of understand the concept of male privilege, and I kind of accept that I have that. But if you're a female after the Trump election, you were probably feeling like shit. Knowing that Lucha Underground is kind of that escape and that Sexy Star did this, like, that's just got to feel great to be able to experience. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, again, I'm going to try and put this as well as possible. But with the Trump political climate, where you have, and I'm just quoting him here, I grab him by the pussy. You see somebody strong and empowered like Sexy Star, and you could say to yourself, nobody's grabbing shit because I'm autonomous and I fucking matter. And it doesn't matter that I'm a woman because I'm a goddamn person who's capable and intelligent and strong. And that's why from the word go, I loved Sexy Star because Sexy Star, and I think I even said this in our early Lucha Underground TWitWows, and if I didn't by some crazy reason, I'm saying it now. She is the perfect character, especially now in the climate we find ourselves in, because her backstory, I was assaulted, I wanted to die, I wanted to kill myself, then I found the mask and I found something within me to continue living and be strong. Women need to hear that. Women need to see that, but they don't need to be told, okay, you see, she's doing stuff. You see it? You see it? You like it? That's great, because we're not stupid. We can enjoy a journey, and not once. I mean, maybe Matt Stryker sometimes does obnoxious commentary, but he has gotten better. No disrespect to Matt, but it was never about.
Dude, I mean, shit. You pointing that out makes me think, like, goddamn, if we feel, that our intelligence is insulted by the WWE's antics, how much women feel like the WWE is, only giving women a push because it's trendy and it's kind of like a charitable case. Like, oh, yeah, we'll give it to them, but, we don't actually care.
Exactly. Lucha Underground, to me, with their booking of all the women, Evilise, Katrina, Sexy Star, there is a real sincerity there. And that's what we need to be gravitating to, because here's the thing, and women do complain about this. I've seen it. We don't want the nice guy kind of guys. We don't want guys to do things so that they can pat themselves on the back, or because, oh, I'm definitely getting mine later because I did this thing. No, it's just the right fucking thing to do, because we are capable, we are worthy of autonomy, and we are worthy of some goddamn self-respect. And Sexy Star has earned so much respect in that locker room that she now gets to call herself, when she goes to the back of that locker room, the fucking world champion. And I don't feel cheated or a bad taste in my mouth like, oh, God, so much cheese. No. It was a legitimate fucking story that came full circle. And if WWE could learn that with the talent they have, I think they'd be fucking gangbusters, but they still haven't gotten it. And I don't think they are going to get it in the foreseeable future. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine, because we have nights like tonight that show that there are places where they do get it. And it's a beautiful fucking thing, man. It's a beautiful fucking thing. And I'm already, again, looking forward to next week for more reasons than one. I mean, obviously, yeah, I come to Sexy Star's defense and I make this impassioned plea for her, and yet I want her to lose next week. But yeah, I mean, she's the fucking champion, and she's a great babyface, and it's going to be high drama next week. Again, I'm probably going to die, and it's just going to be an incredible hour next week. And yeah, tonight, just amazing. Congratulations, Sexy Star. And I'll say what I said on Twitter. Congratulations to that whole fucking locker room tonight, because you guys fucking killed it. You guys,
it was an amazing match. Yeah,
oh, all 20
of them, really. Like, I've already named some of my favorite, and really, when I say 20, that's actually selling them short, because there are people who showed up and participated on tonight's show that weren't technically in the match. Angelico, the Triad, I mean, even Katrina, and I think Melissa Santos even had to give up her chair for Matanza to choke Marty the Moth with.
Yeah. Everybody that was in that match, the believers themselves, Melissa Santos, like, everybody played a part tonight, and it was magic. Like, the magic that I felt tonight is the magic that I feel like, because I would hear old school ECW fans that would attend shows like, oh, this night was crazy. That's what this night felt like, just like something in the air. And again, that's another thing I got to kind of poke fun at WWE for, because Mick was even trying like, oh, anybody else feel that something's in the air for Survivor Series? Now, I'm excited as fuck for Survivor Series. But, like, again, nobody has to talk about it on Lucha Underground. They go in there and they are about it. And that's why I love them, and I'll continue loving them until my dying day or theirs. And I actually hope mine comes first, because this promotion should never die, ever. It's just that good. Amazing fucking show. I'm so proud of
it. And hey, man, you want to talk about, getting eyes on the product. I saw, typically a Lucha Underground thread on the Squared Circle subreddit will get anywhere from like 80 to 120 comments. There were over 300 comments in tonight's thread.
Good. And that's what needs to happen, because I'll tell you,
they might have even taken some people away from NXT, because I feel like NXT typically gets over 500, and they were down around the 400 range this time.
Wow. And see, and that's the thing. WWE, to their credit, for the remainder of this weekend, would take over. And
I'm looking right now, and NXT's at 429, Lucha Underground 396. So
wow,
yeah, there was, and that's another thing. I mean, on top of the comments, had more, was the Lucha Underground live thread was actually upvoted more than the NXT live thread tonight. It was 32-40 in favor of Lucha Underground. That never happens. So Lucha Underground's episode tonight, Aztec Warfare 3, not only was it just a phenomenal episode, but it might end up being the most viewed episode in history. And if it doesn't end up being that by the numbers, as far as like Nielsen ratings and stuff, it probably is the most viewed episode ever, if you include illegal sources of viewership and like internet stuff like, Fubo and Sling and that kind of thing.
Yeah. What a night tonight for this brand. I mean, to the writers, to the performers, everybody, take a fucking bow, man, because I'm giving them a standing O. That was a fucking beautiful hour of television. Yeah. Everybody should give it up for these men and women tonight because they fucking owned it. And this is why I love wrestling. And this is why I love things like TWitWoW, doing it with my coordinator commentary here. This business, and it's often been said, when it's shit, it's utter shit, and we can all make a stink about it. But when it's beautiful and when it's brilliant, like it was tonight, you got to let people know it and you got to revel in it because you don't get that too often, except in Lucha Underground, which just seems to be a lightning goddamn generator. I can't wait. With everything going on, you're damn right.
I was just going to say, dude, like WWE does everything in their power to catch lightning in a bottle, even though once they have it, they also do everything in their power to let it go. They're horrible at actually capitalizing on that. Lucha Underground says, oh, you guys struggling with your jar trying to catch lightning in a bottle while we're over here generating it.
Yeah, Nikola fucking Teslas, the whole lot of them. Jesus Christ. Unbelievable, guys. Each and every one of you killed it tonight. With that said,
up next,
high spots and low shots. You know what? I'm going to say my low shot is Matanza because he got pinned for the first time ever tonight. He ate a lot. You know what, though? 19 people got pinned tonight. Now, granted, this was Matanza's first loss, but only one person had to get stretchered out, and that's my low shot, Rey Mysterio, because you might have pinned Matanza, but that right there, the fact that you took the title off of him means that you now have a target on your back, and a Matanza-sized arrow is just flying towards you. Yeah, that's an excellent point. My high spot, in all honesty, again, I'd love to give it to that entire locker room top to bottom because what an effort tonight. But to be more specific and more particular, my high spot, you know what? I can't believe I'm doing this, but I am happy for him objectively, and this is more of an objective space. My high spot's on Helico. Had a return tonight. It was great. Crowd popped. I'm happy he's back and healthy. Now, let's see him get back.
John, I have an idea. Let's do this. Let's say our co-high spot, because I think we should both kind of agree that Sexy Star is the ultimate high spot tonight.
Certainly.
So that'll be our co-high spot, and then your honorary high spot would be on Helico. Meanwhile, my honorary high spot is going to be the Stardom Trio, the Black Lotus Triad, Hojo, Shirai, and Iwatani. All three of those women had a great a great debut tonight in the ring. I cannot wait to see what else they do in the temple and maybe even more interactions with Pentagon Dark.
Yes. With that said, any concluding remarks about tonight's episode?
Absolutely not. This was an amazing episode of Lucha Underground and possibly an even more amazing episode of TWitWoW. I've really enjoyed everything that we've gotten to talk about tonight. So, man, it's going to be a struggle to get through an episode of NXT knowing that the live special is coming up on Saturday. Tell you what, actually, I'm going to say this. If it ends up being just a clip show and like a big recap show, we're not going to review it. We're just going to wait until Saturday.
Yeah.
No, not Saturday, because tomorrow Thursday. We'll be doing preview predictions.
Yeah. So, guys, I'll tell you, my concluding remarks, just once again, final time, congratulations, Sexy Star. And, oh, man, do I got a lot racing on my mind about next week. But, and I know you guys aren't going to want to miss that, but for now, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary. And guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes the video gets, the more likely it is to be the top search result for Lucha Underground reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, number one is the only place you belong. So fuck YouTube's algorithm. Get us to the top. And you guys already know all the stuff to check out because of my cohort and commentaries. Amazing backgrounds. But 2 things I want to clue you in on. 1, Q&A. We do Q&A the last Friday of every month. It's the 16th today. We're going to be doing Q&A on the 25th. So be sure to get your questions in for Q&A. Get them in. Got quite a few questions through Twitter. You can submit them through there. YouTube. We have a Facebook page. Be sure to like the page if you do visit it, and you can message us questions there. Everybody gets 5 questions per Q&A. Doesn't mean you have to use all 5. You can use how many you want within that limit, and they can be divvied up however you like. Also, though, I want to direct you guys to the Patreon. We are now doing a Patreon kind of donor package. You can either purchase live reactions, a formal review of a pay-per-view, or both. You can look at our pricing scale on the Patreon page. We already have a Patreon requested review up on the channel, Survivor Series 2002. If you haven't seen it, I suggest that you go check it out so you can get kind of an idea of what exactly you're donating for. So be sure to donate to the Patreon. We appreciate all donations from everybody. And with that said, as my cohort and commentary alluded to, we may see you again for our NXT review, depending on how the episode is. So until then, my friends, great episode of Lucha. Love you all. Tune in and peace out.